Making headlines this hour, Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development Dr. Abdullah Muttalib calls for revenue collected as vehicle fees in the Greater Male region to be deducted from the Male City Council budget and transferred to the government. Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation Mohammad Amin says the Maldives is working to conclude 2 additional air service agreements aimed at increasing tourist arrivals and expanding international air connectivity. Minister of Islamic Affairs and Endowments Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Saeed announces that the Maldives is undertaking the highest number of Islamic-related projects in a short time frame in the nation's history, with more than 81 initiatives currently underway.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Idham Naim. Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development Dr. Abdullah Muttalib calls for revenue collected as vehicle fees in the Greater Male region to be deducted from the Male City Council budget and transferred to the government.
While responding to a question from Machangoli Central Member of Parliament Ahmad Zamir, Minister Dr. Muttalib addressed the MP's observation that the Council's most recently announced budget projected annual revenue of between $8.43 million and $9.08 million from vehicle fees collected in Male. Responding to the question, Minister Dr. Muttalib said Male City Council receives approximately $9.73 million annually in vehicle fees from Male and Hulumale. However, he said the council was not carrying out the adequate road repair works. The minister said responsibility for developing roads had been assigned to the council. He added that when permission was granted to cut through a road paved by the government, the council lacked the capacity to restore the damaged section after the work was completed. Minister Dr. Muttalib said the ministry had prepared and sent the council standard guidelines detailing how roads should be cut for different purposes and how the affected areas should subsequently be repaired. He said the council's failure to develop the capacity to produce and lay asphalt for road repairs despite receiving $9.73 million appeared to be a failure to fulfill its responsibility. He added that it was necessary to determine where the money was being spent. The minister said he did not believe that $9.73 million collected annually in vehicle fees should be received by Male City Council. He called for the amount to be deducted from the council's budget and transferred to the government budget. Minister Dr. Muttalib said that if the $9.73 million were received by the government, roads could also be properly developed.
The Minister of Islamic Affairs and Endowments, Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Saeed, announces that the Maldives is undertaking the highest number of Islamic-related projects in a short time frame in the nation's history, with more than 81 initiatives currently underway.
Answering questions from lawmakers during the parliament sitting on the 4th of August, Minister Shahim said the surge reflects priorities set by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz, who has earmarked the construction of Islamic centers, mosques, and Waqf buildings as key development goals. The minister noted that the government is not only launching new projects but also reviving those stalled by the previous administration. Minister Shahim identified the main causes of earlier delays, highlighting that the previous government initiated numerous projects without securing budget allocations and award contracts to firms lacking sufficient capacity. To counter this, the ministry is now arranging the necessary funding and ensuring that only qualified contractors are engaged. He also provided specific updates on 2 high-profile mosque projects in Ba Atoll. According to the minister, the 300-capacity Kamadu Mosque awarded to SASC Construction Private Limited in November 2022, where the site clearance was completed on the 21st of June after the old mosque remained operational through Eid, as requested by the Kamadu Council. He added the Qibla direction was set on the 26th of June and concrete pillar work began on the 7th July, is on track for completion within the stipulated 540 days and will include separate prayer and ablution areas, a library, classrooms, and a solar energy system. On the 500-capacity Kudarikilu Mosque, contracted to Fenaka Corporation, Minister Shahim explained that the administration restructuring within Fenaka delayed the start, but practical work work is slated to begin on the 15th of August, with Fenaka assuring a 365-day completion timeline. The minister pledged full cooperation to keep the schedule on track. In addition, Minister Shahim revealed that residents of Rastu Alif et al. Successfully lobbied for an expansion of the planned mosque from 500 to 1,000 people. Design adjustments have been made and the required $1.62 million in funding has now been secured. He also reaffirmed the administration's commitment to see all ongoing Islamic projects to completion, underscoring that the current pace of development marks a historic milestone for the Maldives.
Parliament instructs Fenaka Corporation to address the issues identified in a special audit report concerning the recruitment, promotion, salaries and allowances of the company's employees.
The instruction followed a vote taken during Monday's sitting of Parliament after the Public Accounts Committee reviewed the report. The special audit report covers matters relating to the recruitment of employees, promotions, salaries and allowances at Fenaka from 2020 to 2023. The report notes that the company recruited 5,289 employees over a 5-year period and found that promotion had been granted in violation of applicable regulations. The Auditor General recommended that Fenaka conduct a job analysis to assess the scale of the company's expanding operations, the duties assigned to employees, and their workloads. Based on the findings, the company should determine the number of employees required for its positions and refrain from recruiting additional employees unless the need for further staff has been established. Following its review of the audit report, the Public Accounts Committee submitted 12 recommendations. These include requiring Fenaka to share details of the progress of its right-sizing exercise and change to the number of employees with the committee within 3 months. The committee also recommended that the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC investigate the matters identified in the audit report and submit its preliminary findings within 30 days. It further recommended that the updates on the progress of the investigation be shared with the committee once every month. In addition, the committee recommended that Fenaka amend its staff regulations to prevent employees from being recruited without vacancies being publicly announced. It proposed that the amended regulations be shared with the committee within 3 months and also called for the company's standard operating procedures to be revised. The committee noted that some employees were promoted in violation of the regulations during 2022 and 2023. It also noted that employees had been recruited under the designation of in-house projects and paid large salaries. The committee recommended instructing the ACC and the Maldives Police Service to identify those responsible for these actions and take measures against them. It also proposed that details of the investigation be shared with the Public Accounts Committee once every month. The committee further recommended instructing Fenaka to recover $14,896.95 paid to certain employees recruited for in-house projects in excess of the salaries and allowances that they were entitled to receive. Parliament approved the committee's recommendations with the vote of all 56 members present at the sitting.
Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation Mohammed Amin says the Maldives is working to conclude 2 additional air service agreements aimed at increasing tourist arrivals and expanding international air connectivity.
Speaking in an exclusive interview with PSM News, Minister Amin outlined the government's ongoing efforts to strengthen the country's tourism sector through expanded aviation links. The minister said the government's objective is to make full use of the traffic rights available to the Maldives under existing air service agreements. While a number of factors had prevented this from being fully realized in the past, he said efforts are now underway to maximize those opportunities. Referring to the ongoing work, Amin said negotiations are underway on 2 more air service agreements. He described the talks as major undertakings that require time but said he was satisfied with the pace of progress, adding that tangible results are expected before long. Air service agreements are bilateral or multilateral agreements that set the framework for commercial flights between countries. For island nations such as the Maldives, these agreements are particularly important as the tourism industry relies heavily on international air connectivity. Such agreements determine which foreign airlines can operate in the Maldives, the number of seats that are permitted to offer, and the markets they can serve. They are also expanded over time to improve access from key tourism source markets and increase visitor arrivals. Most recently, the Maldives signed an air service agreement with Ethiopia, marking the sixth such agreement with an African country. The agreement paves the way for direct flights between Addis Ababa and the Maldives. The Maldives has also concluded an agreement with Australia to facilitate direct services. Under the arrangement, the national carrier Maldivian has already begun operating direct flights to Australia.
Hussein Zamir, the State Minister of Economic Development, Transport and Trade, says the Maldives agricultural sector is poised for advancement under a newly implemented preferential trade agreement between the Maldives and Turkey. The agreement, which the two nations began implementing on 1st August, eliminates customs duties on specific categories of goods established through bilateral negotiations. Tariff relief is provided across 75 categories of goods classified under internationally recognized customs standards. State Minister Zamir noted on a PSM News Rajamir program, the trade pact is expected to yield immediate benefit for the agricultural sector, permitting farmers importing necessary equipment and tools to bring them in duty-free. Turkey, he added, utilizes modern technologies within its agricultural sector, benefiting those seeking to diversify Maldivian farming. Beyond its agricultural focus, the agreement is projected to bolster the Maldives' broader import sector. Bilateral trade between both nations currently reaches approximately $70 million. Under the pact, tariff relief extends to 404 categories of Turkish exports entering the Maldives, with custom duties completely eliminated for approximately half, supplying high-quality commodities to Maldivian citizens. Minister of Fisheries, Agriculture and Ocean Resources Ahmad Shyam says scientific research has become more important than ever to protect the Maldives' marine resources and ensure they are used sustainably.
The minister made the remarks while delivering the keynote address at the opening ceremony of the 6th Marine Science Symposium. Minister Shyam said the Maldives is one of the world's richest countries in terms of marine biodiversity and is home to some of the world's richest and most unique marine ecosystems. He said the country's vibrant coral reefs and abundant marine life form the foundation of the Maldivian economy and communities. He added that even after many years of scientific research, new discoveries continue to emerge from the oceans, demonstrating that there is still much left to learn. Highlighting the threats posed by climate change, the minister said Maldives is one of the countries most vulnerable to its adverse impacts. He noted that scientific research has now become more important than ever to understand the changes taking place in marine ecosystems as a result of climate change. Referring to President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's policy of building a knowledge-based society, Minister Shyam said the government is prioritizing science-backed decision-making to achieve economic prosperity. He added that the knowledge shared at the symposium would play an important role in shaping policies aimed at sustainably managing the country's marine resources. The minister also said the government is giving special priority to increasing the participation of Maldivians in the marine science sector. He further noted that strengthening the Maldives' scientific capacity through collaboration between international experts and Maldivians is an important investment for future generations. The Marine Science Symposium has been held since 2016 with the aim of providing a platform to share and discuss various research conducted in the Maldives' marine environment. The symposium, organized by the Maldives Marine Research Institute (MMRI), is held once every 2 years and is taking place from 4 to 5th August at the Central Auditorium of the Maldives National University. The Ministry of Fisheries, Agriculture and Ocean Resources said the symposium aims to share research and findings related to the Maldives' marine resource and marine life with the public, facilitate the exchange of knowledge among those working in the field, and advance the development of marine science in the Maldives. Research conducted by organizations and universities involved in marine research in the Maldives is being presented at the symposium. A total of 47 research papers have been selected across 5 thematic areas, including 32 oral presentations and 15 poster presentations.
The Ministry of Arts, Culture and Heritage says its signature research scholarship is expected to produce a new generation of heritage researchers and significantly increase academic publications on Maldivian heritage.
The Signature Research Scholarship has been launched to identify and document the distinct characteristics of Maldivian heritage. The program aims to advance academic research on the country's heritage while developing a pool of qualified researchers in the field. Speaking on PSM News' Raj Miyadu program, Deputy Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage Aishat Shimla highlighted President Dr. Mohammad Muizu has also stressed in his first presidential address the importance of giving equal priority to cultural and spiritual development alongside material progress. Shimla said that while the Maldives has a rich history and heritage that reflects the nation's unique identity, the heritage sector has not developed at the same pace as areas such as education, healthcare, and tourism. She described the Signature Research Scholarship as an important step towards strengthening the field through academic research. She noted that opportunities for higher education in heritage studies remains limited in the Maldives and that there is a shortage of academic research on the country's history and culture. She said the scholarship program would help train heritage specialists and lead to more scholarly research and publications on Maldivian history and culture. Shimla also said there are currently no established benchmarks defining what makes something distinctly Maldivian. She explained that this is largely because comprehensive research and detailed documentation have not yet been carried out. She added, establishing clear criteria to identify the defining characteristics of Maldivian heritage is therefore essential.
The National Social Protection Agency, NSPA, announces it is moving to rebuild its monitoring section, which was disabled in 2020 after discovering that more than $648,500 is in social assistance funds had been deposited into the accounts of deceased individuals.
NSPA, the government body tasked with delivering financial aid to low-income single parents, persons with disabilities, caregivers of orphan children, and poor families for food purchases, said the dissolution of its monitoring unit weakened oversight and allowed ineligible payments to continue unchecked. Speaking to PSM News, NSPA's Chief Executive Officer Aminath Shiruna described monitoring as one of the most crucial components of providing social assistance. She noted that the hiatus led to significant financial losses for the state, with funds repeatedly flowing to accounts of people who have already passed away. According to Shiruna, out of roughly 15,000 beneficiaries registered with NSPA, the agency identified more than 700 individuals who have died yet continue to receive aid over the years. Under the former monitoring section, regular updates were kept on residents of the Guradu Center and other registered beneficiaries to reflect changes in living status or income. With those operations stopped, the agency lost the ability to flag deceased recipients or altered circumstances, resulting in the misallocation of funds. Shirina said the agency is now actively working to re-establish the monitoring unit and strengthen the overall verification system to further prevent leakage of public funds. She added, the agency aims to restore timely updates on beneficiary status and ensure that social assistance reaches only those who are eligible and in need.
Saudi oil giant Aramco reports a 44% increase in second quarter net profit as it reaped higher prices for crude oil, refined products and chemicals while forced to reroute shipments to avoid the war-hit Strait of Hormuz.
The world's top oil exporter posted net profits of $32.69 billion in the 3 months ended June 30th, compared with $22.67 billion a year earlier. Aramco said it maintained a supply reliability rate of 98.4% during the quarter despite continued geopolitical uncertainty in the region. The company has ramped up exports through the East-West pipeline to the Red Sea port of Yanbu since the US-Israeli war with Iran triggered the biggest disruption in the history of energy markets. Nasser had previously described the route as a critical lifeline, but that alternative route and Saudi export terminals on the Red Sea have now also come under threat. In July, Iran-aligned Houthi forces announced a blockade of Saudi Arabia's oil industry in the Red Sea, extending the disruption to a second major waterway and pushing oil prices higher.
Japan's government portrays its accelerating military build-up not only as a way to protect the country, but as a route to greater prosperity, arguing in its latest defense white paper that arms production can support economic growth.
The annual assessment of threats posed by neighboring states calls for Japan, constrained for decades by post-war restrictions on military activity, to harness technology, to fund startups, and use more commercial components in weapons production. The white paper stresses that investment in defense benefits the wider economy and people's lives, according to a Defense Ministry presentation document. The message aligns with Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's broader use of strategic state spending in an effort to drive economic growth. The pitch is reinforced by the document anime-style cover, which depicts a smiling family in a gleaming cityscape rather than the troops, weapons, and military insignia featured on many previous editions. A Defense Ministry official said the design was intended to convey a futuristic image. The link between defense and future prosperity comes as Takaichi's administration prepares a new national security strategy. Military experts expect it to call for further spending increases aimed primarily at deterring rivals that could draw Japan into a prolonged war.
Cape Verde's veteran goalkeeper Wozinha, who became a social media sensation at the FIFA World Cup, signs for Colo Colo.
The 40-year-old has joined on a 6-month contract with the possibility of a 1-year extension, as reported after undergoing a medical earlier on Monday. Chilean media said he was likely to make his debut on August 16th against O'Higgins as Colo Colo look to maintain their healthy lead at the head of the Chilean Premier Division. Wozinha's performances for the small African island nation at the World Cup in North America helped Cape Verde get past the group stage before a narrow loss to Argentina in the last 32. They held eventual winners Spain and 2-time world champions Uruguay to draws in the group phase, and Wozinha played a major role in his country's debut appearance at the global tournament. His Instagram account went from around 50,000 followers to around 17.4 million after his heroics against Spain in the first week of the tournament in June. Colo Colo were on Friday granted permission for Wozinha, whose real name is Josime Jose Evore Diaz, to use his footballing nickname on his shirt, despite regulations in the South American country prohibiting it. The possibility he might be banned from using the name he had on his World Cup kit proved less contentious than originally thought, however, with the other Chilean clubs agreeing to Colo Colo's request. The nickname Wozinha, which means little grandmother in Portuguese, was given by the older kids when he was a boy and would cry after losing games on street football and storm home to his grandparents with whom he lived. The goalkeeper was last at Portuguese second division side Chaves and has played for clubs in Angola, Cyprus, Moldova, and Slovakia.
A female Amur tiger named Umit sprints out of her cage into the wilds of Ile-Balkhash Nature Reserve in Kazakhstan and disappeared in the tall grass. Her release is a part of a long-developed reintroduction project to restore the extinct Caspian tiger to Central Asia.
Kazakh Ecology Minister Yerlan Nisambayev said Amur and Caspian tigers are closely related, so Umit will not find it difficult to adjust to the new conditions. Caspian tigers used to populate vast areas of Central Asia but became extinct in the 20th century as a result of hunting, habitat destruction, and the disappearance of their prey base. Umit is one of the 4 Amur tigers that were transferred from Russia to Kazakhstan as part of the program to restore the population. The timing of the release of the remaining 3 will be determined based on the data collected by observing Umit in her new habitat. Despite being an apex predator and having no natural competitors, Amur tigers are vulnerable to the decline of their prey base as a result of human activities. Nisam Bayev said the restoration of the sustainable tiger population in Central Asia will take decades, with the current project set to continue for another 25 years.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day.